going to talk to you today about is we're going to talk about the blues scale, and we're also going to see how it corresponds to the 12 bar piece of music that people play, and that's actually played in rock and roll music even to this day. So the blues scale is made up of a number of notes within a major scale. So for example, if we took the major scale of C, instead of the major scale that we talked about last time on a flog, which was C, D, E, F, G, A and B, what you do with the blues scale is you take the tonic, which is the C, you ignore the 2, which is the D, then you go to the 3, the third, which is an E, and you flatten that to make that an E flat. So you then move up to the next note in the blues scale, which is a 4, so that would be the F, then it's a 4 sharp, which is the F sharp, then you go to the dominant 5th, which is the G, and then you go to the 7th, which is a flat, which we flatten the 7th. Now when I take you to the keyboard, I'll show you how that all works so it makes sense. So the blues scale consists of 1, flat 3, 4, 4 sharp, a 5th, or the 5, and a flat 7, and that makes up the blues scale. Now these notes are the notes that you use when you're actually riffing or doing a particular solo in a blues piece of music, and again I'll show you an example of how that works. And this is supported by an underlying chord sequence, which is the 12 bar progression, which is chord 1, chord 4 and chord 5. And in my previous vlogs you will know that when we make up all the chords within a particular scale or a key signature, that chord 1, chord 4 and chord 5 are always major chords. Okay, so as I was saying before, blues initially started or was born out of the slavery in the United States of America, and even to this day it's certainly a well recognised genre of music and really popular genre of music. Okay, some early influencers that used it and turned it into rock and roll were people like Lonnie Donegan and the King Elvis himself. So I'm going to move on now. I'm going to take you over to the keyboard. I'm going to show you how that all works. Okay. Here we are at the keyboard. I'm going to show you now how the supporting chord progressions within blues music supports the blues scale. Now, we talked about the fact that we would use the 12 bar progression of the first chord. So let's look at C. So that would be C, E, G is chord 1. Chord 4 is F, A, C, because you go 1, 2, 3, 4. F major, and chord 5 is G major. Now, to add an additional lovely little taste to blues music, sevenths are involved within the chord progression. Now, there are 4 types of seventh within music. We talk about the major seventh, and this is where we take the note 1, 3, 5 and 7 of a diatonic scale, of a major scale, and then so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that makes C major seventh. Okay, now to make it a dominant seventh, and the dominant seventh is the one that's involved in blues music, we take the 7th note and we flatten it. So you can hear that distinctive sound already that even makes it feel bluesy just by playing that particular chord. And then there is another 7th, which is called the minor, and you minor the 3rd, you keep the 5th, you minor the 7th, and that's also used. And the one that's not used very often is the major minor 7th. So you flatten the 3rd, but you major the 7th. Now, if you listen to that really closely, for those James Bond lovers, and it's quite apt at this time of year, that is the final note in the James Bond theme. Okay, so these are the chords then. So we're looking at the dominant 7th within the key signature of C major to support the C blues scale. So the dominant 7th we said is the 1, 3, 5, and we flatten the 7th. So that would be chord 1. So then if we go up to chord 4, C, D, E, F is 4th, 1, 3, 5, go up to the 7th, and we flatten it. And then chord 5 is G. Now F is sharpened in the major chord of G major. So for the dominant we flatten it. So there we have chord 1, 7, or 1 dominant 7th, 4 dominant 7th, and 5 dominant 7th in the key of C. So now we move on to the actual blues scale. And as I said before, you take the tonic, let's look at it in C, you go up to the third, or note 3 in the major scale, and you flatten it. Then it's 4, you sharpen the 4, then the 5th, then flatten the 7th, and then up to the top. So the way that it would work is, and gives it that really, really bluesy feeling. So let's do it for the key of E. So we've got E, we flatten the 3rd because in the scale of E major G is sharpened, then A for the 4th, then sharpen the 4th, then the 5th is the B, and then you flatten the D because it's D sharp in E. Okay, so the way that that would work is, so you can hear that really bluesy feel to it. And one last one, let's do D. Okay, so you can really feel the bluesy feel to it, and that would be supported by a sequence. And I'm going to play that for you and give you an example.